Your book is called The Memo, right? Um, now it has a subtitle, or there's a colon there. There's more to the title. Say the rest of the title for me.
The Memo: What Women of Color Need to Know to Secure a Seat at the Table.
Yes, yes, yes. Now I had you do that because I want to know. I want to eavesdrop and give me one thing from the book that women need to know about having a seat at the table.
The first one is real simple. It's success is not a solo sport. We don't get to the top by ourselves. So it requires us building out our squad, building out strategic relationships within our organizations or our company, because you need someone who's speaking your name when you're not in the room. You need someone to vouch for you on those days when somebody calls you an angry Black woman, and so, you know, Bob can say, no, actually, I've worked with Minda. She's not that way. But if nobody knows you, if you're only keeping your head down and working hard, there's this whole other system going on, and you need a squad inside the workplace. So even in COVID-19, professional development doesn't stop today, and building your network doesn't stop either. That's how you get to the table, and that's how you secure your seat.
So it's the relationships that you build, the partnerships that you establish, and the people that you let in. Not letting people in is a sure way to undermine your success. Did I get it right?
You got it right, because I think for so long, many of us have been told if you work hard and keep your head down, then you get your seat. But we know that the workplace is not necessarily a meritocracy. Who works the hardest doesn't get to the top. It's about who you know, but also coupled with your work ethic. And so if we're just working hard and coming in, staying late, and not getting to know Bob and, you know, Karen and everybody else, then we're going to miss out on some of those opportunities that we might not know about just staying in our office or staying in our cube.
I heard Jesse Jackson say a bunch of times that privilege and access will trump ability almost every time. That Black people don't get the position, not because we don't have the ability or the capacity, but because we don't have the privileged networks or access to the right people. Would you agree with Reverend Jackson in that assessment?
I would agree, but just because you didn't have a Harvard pedigree doesn't mean you can't create your own. And so it's going to take some work, but.
How do you do that? Because that's a great point. How do you do that? Come on, tell me.
Yeah, well, that's first of all is, so for example, I know right now it looks a little bit different, but you got to go to those virtual happy hours. You got to go to the work break room birthday parties. Now they're on Zoom or wherever, but you need to show your face, because that's when people feel like they get to know you, when you're there, when they see your face. Not just, you can't get to know people just passing each other on the way to get copy paper out of the, you know, machine. You actually, people need to know. And this is also how you find out who you can trust inside the workplace, who has your best interest in mind. But you have to get to know people. I talk about, you know, building your top 8. Who are those people, even in different departments, who you can connect with? So if something does happen in one department, maybe you have somebody who could throw you, you know, a preserve later on if something happens. So I think it's important, especially for women of color, to make sure that we don't just congregate with ourselves, but we expand our network.
So when I hear you, that's valuable, because what I hear you saying, when I asked you, how did you create a seat at the table for yourself? What I hear you fleshing out for me and for the audience is that your ability to build relationships and connections was ultimately the thing that you leverage, along with your gifts and abilities, to position yourself to be at tables some folks didn't want you at. And to me, I think something so simple can be truly empowering for people, because it's not as complicated as people think. I think we think the problem is so complicated, so beyond us. And you're on tonight giving us a very direct, a very practical way to eat this elephant. You're saying, don't try to eat it all in one bite, but little bites of connection and relationship can get it all down.
It will take you, maybe on your own, it might take you 10 years. You have the right connections, you could do it in 6 months, you know, but it requires us to move a little bit different to get a different result.
So let me ask you an author's question. Author speaking to author. What did writing this book do for you?
It was therapeutic, actually, because I didn't realize how much workplace trauma I had gone through. I had settled into microaggressions. I had settled into bias. I thought that this I thought some of those environments that this was just as good as it's going to get, and I had to deal with it. But I realized that as I kept telling myself that, oh, my colleague didn't mean any harm, at some point it meant me harm. And I had forgotten, Dr. Sean, some of these situations that had affected me in a real way. And I had to learn to pack light, because you can't enjoy your seat at the table if you're bogged down with a bunch of workplace trauma. And so for me, it really allowed me to heal.
I guess, that's so rich and so interesting. Take me into how that happened as you were writing the book. Give me an example of how writing something helped you start to unpack your own trauma.
Yeah, really quickly, long story short, is there was one chapter in my book called Everybody Can't Be a Golden Girl. And I was uprooted my life to move to the opposite coast to take a new position. And again, I was the only one, but in this situation, it was racism on every corner of the office. And I started to ask myself, am I the problem? Did I cause this? You know, when I knew it wasn't me. We know when we're being mistreated, but sometimes we try to make excuses for the environment. And when I was so broke down, Dr. Sean, when I left that place, that I lost my empire state of mind. You know, I had this enemy state of mind, and I realized that I will never let another woman of color on my watch experience some of these same things in the workplace and not have the tools to know that she deserves better. And so for me, when I was recording the audiobook, I thought I was over a situation that happened 10 years ago, go to record the audiobook, and I had to say, okay, engineer, let's stop about like 15 times, because I didn't realize that I hadn't grieved that career that I lost, I walked away from. And it's unfortunate when you don't have those equitable environments, because many times women of color, Black women, we have to walk away from our dream jobs.
First of all of that is just rich. I mean, all of that makes me want to go out and get the book and the audio book, because I'm trying to figure out where in the audio book did this happen.
You'll hear the little quiver of my voice.
No, it's an amazing narrative, and I love your bravery and your honesty to tell that part of the story, because it's not just giving women, as I perceive it, you're not just giving women advice on what to do. You're also taking women into your journey, into your secret place, giving Black women access to your pain, as it were. We never die once, right? We die daily in some way, over and over again. And I'm hoping that your book, as women read it and encounter it, that the same way we don't die once, they will be able to come back to life every day, just a little more of them being brought back to life. And you already got me excited about it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.